What is happening, everybody, and welcome. This is episode number 66 of RizzoCast. I'm Steven Rissotto, along with Jasper Lindsey. Jasper, we're recording this on a Saturday, a week to kind of digest what's going on around the baseball world. What's going on with you? How was your week?
Pretty good. Watched a lot of baseball, watched a lot of basketball. I mean, it's just one of those great times where you got some summer sports. There's always something on TV. Yeah, just the sun's out, the drinks are cold, and it's just a great time to be alive right now.
Yes, the sun is out in the Bay Area. I mean, this is always a cool time in baseball because I feel like everybody's kind of all over the All-Star game and we're getting ready for that. Teams are starting to either be real or flukes. We kind of have the ability to determine that now. But there's definitely a lot to talk about. And what we talked about last podcast, last banter show that we did, we talked about the substances that were getting cracked down on that pitchers, can't use anymore. They can't use the rosin with the sunscreen. They can't use spider tack. And of course, I don't think any of them have really used pine tar because that's pretty obvious where you could see it. But yeah, that ended up happening. That's been in play here this week. The first week of checks happened. And basically, what happens is when the pitcher gets out of the inning, they walk off the field. And I believe twice a game for starting pitchers, they walk into a checkup by umpires before they enter into the dugout in between innings. So it doesn't waste any time. And it looked like it was going pretty well. I think the first night we saw it, Jacob deGrom, I believe, was the first pitcher to get checked. They looked at his belt. He took his hat off. He gave him his glove. Everything looked like it was going well. And then Max Scherzer happened. And
Yep.
Max Scherzer, he was checked twice. And then Joe Girardi decided with runners at the corners to check him a third time because Joe Girardi said he was, kind of going and touching his hair quite a bit and touching his head, which is interesting. And Joe Girardi apparently has a reputation for this kind of stuff. But what did you think about this? Like, I mean, for me, I don't like it in terms of Girardi checking him a third time. We'll get into kind of the overall how it's been going for a lot of these pitchers. But what do you think about the whole Scherzer situation there in
I
DC?
mean, it's just classic Joe Girardi, right? I mean, this kind of seems like Joe Girardi forgot he was coaching the Phillies and kind of went back to his Yankee days for a second, like in those early 2010s. So that's really what it felt like, just classic Joe Girardi. But I mean, Max Scherzer has a right to be upset. I mean, pitching is all about rhythm, and when you have people coming out and checking your glove, kind of getting you out of that rhythm, it's a new part of the routine that you're just not used to yet. And I think Max Scherzer, especially as a guy, like he's a Cy Young award winner. I mean, he is all about his routine. He's all about excellence. And when you throw a guy out of his routine, yeah, he's going to get a little pissed off, man. I mean, can you expect?
Yeah, and I can't get mad at him and I can't get mad at any of these pitchers for having a problem with this whole substance check. For one, the baseballs are too slick. I know we talked about this last week, and grip is needed. I think that will come via a universal substance that will have to get agreed upon maybe in this next CBA. And I think it's kind of interesting that they did this almost midway through 2021. As for Girardi, I mean, yeah, again, he's always been kind of a fiery personality in baseball. And Max Scherzer, I just think it was disrespect. I really do think it was a
Absolutely. Oh, no,
coward
no.
move.
This was absolutely disrespect. This was trying to get a little competitive advantage through a new rule. I mean, Joe Girardi's all about the loopholes, man.
Yeah, no, yeah. And Scherzer's a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Cy Youngs. And I just think that Scherzer had the right to act like he did in that situation. Joe Girardi even trying to fight his old hitting coach in New York, Kevin Long, and tried to challenge him to come out to the field, which, I mean, yeah, I mean, it didn't look good on Joe Girardi's part, automatically ejected because of that. And Sergio Romo, on the other hand, pulled down his pants and threw
Yep.
his hat down, completely took off his belt, whipped that away. I mean, these guys are having fun with it. I think Johnny Cueto kind of put his hands up when he got checked. They're having fun with it, which is good, but nobody's gonna get caught. Okay,
Yeah,
no, like
exactly.
they're not gonna find anything. Like just based on the way they're looking at these guys. I mean, where would substances even be hidden? Like, where were they hidden before?
Oh,
Like
glove. I
belt?
mean, it was probably the glove and the hat. I mean, you see guys who go and run their hands through their hair in between innings, and I mean, hey, maybe hair gel is going to be considered a sticky substance pretty soon. I know Garrett Cole's big on his hair products, but yeah, I mean, you could clearly tell when guys were doing something weird with their glove or something weird with their hat that they must have something on them. And I think the only guy who's just really bad at hiding it was always Michael Pineda, because I think he got caught with sticky substances the most out of any pitcher I've ever seen.
Yeah, he had it on his hand, then he had it on his neck. I wonder where Michael Pineda is. I think he's with the Twins, right?
Yeah,
He's
I think he's still
somewhere.
with the Twins. I
He's somewhere
mean,
in the league.
they're not really doing too well this season, so it's probably no surprise we're not hearing Michael Pineda's name called that much.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, just to wrap the sticky substances up here, it's a storyline we're gonna keep following for sure. Um, the one thing that gets me about it is that there's the steroid era, and I think this is not at the height of what the steroid era was, but this is a pretty big deal, and I think we're gonna start to see some offense heat up just a little bit. But I would be legitimately shocked if they got anybody during these checks. Legitimately shocked. You'd have to be such an idiot to have like spider tack on your belt. Like, who would do that when they're checking you like multiple times during a game?
I feel like we could see Trevor Bauer do it just to make a point, just because that's kind of a Trevor Bauer move to do, but I don't know.
Just have spider tack, like just put a big brown spot of pine tar on your hat. I mean,
Yeah,
can you
or like
imagine?
he'll probably try and do something with his cleats. I don't know. That's kind of Trevor's move, troll.
You
But yeah,
reach down at your cleats every pitch.
hey, if he can find out a way to make cleats out of spider tack, I'd love to see it.
No, that would be pretty amazing. But yeah, no, give it 3 weeks, and I think these checks are going to go out of the window, and you won't see him anymore. That might be a hot take. Um, Speaking of Max Scherzer's teammate right now, Kyle Schwarber, is on a pretty historic pace right now. He is on a tear, and I think he hit another home run yesterday, or we're recording this on Saturday, but he's atop the home run leaderboard. He got up there pretty quickly. He now has 22 this season. And if you look at his last week or so, I believe he's had like 9 of them in the last week. So he's had 9 homers in 7 games. I mean,
Yeah.
this guy's tearing the cover off the baseball. And you texted me and you said midweek, you said, "Is Kyle Schwarber back?" And I said, was he ever here? And then you mentioned the home run in Chicago in the postseason. But Kyle Schwarber's on a tear, Jasper.
Yeah. And I think, listen, the biggest thing for me about Kyle Schwarber's tear, I mean, first of all, we have to mention that it's just surprising to hear a story coming out of Washington that isn't about pitching for once. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
their hitting has always been kind of mid. I mean, Bryce Harper and Juan Soto have always been the big boppers in those lineups, but you never really hear about anything else. But the thing for me about Kyle Schwarber, it's not just the home runs, but he's batting 245. And that was always the knock on Kyle. You couldn't hit for average, but he had tremendous power. But the fact that he's hitting the ball, just like driving it in the gap, I mean, not all of these like we're talking about his home runs, right? But we're not talking about the fact that he's getting other hits. I mean, it's just incredible to see Schwarber go to work. And this is a guy that I think in the MLB, we have way too quick a judgment on players. Like you'll give a guy 3 years and then you'll kick him off his team. And I'm trying to think, but like Steve Souza comes to mind as that guy. And obviously Steve Souza got hurt when he finally got paid. But yeah, Kyle Schwarber's a guy who I was like, the Nats might have a steal in this guy. You just got to be patient with him. And when he gets into rhythm, I think he's a very streaky hitter. So this probably won't last all year. But hey, man, if he bats 240 and hits 40 homers, I mean, Washington's found a solid outfielder.
Yeah, and I think his transition to outfield really changed his career. I think slimming down a little bit really changed his career. Um, he was never a skilled catcher, and just look at the numbers now. I mean, he and when I mean skyrocketed atop the home run leaderboard, he was not even close to where he is now.
Oh, yeah.
Right now he has 22 homers. That's second in the National League, or tied for second, or I think it's tied for second. On base percentage, he's getting on base. 896 on base or 896 OPS.
He has a stolen base.
He's got his stolen base, yeah. I mean, he's fourth in strikeouts, but that's baseball nowadays, I guess.
Yeah, hey, I mean, listen, for if you're batting 250 and you're striking out a bunch, I'm not really as concerned about that versus a guy who's batting 198 and striking out a bunch.
In every 11 at bats, he's going deep. That's second in the
That's
National
insane.
League. Second
That's
in the
insane.
National League. That's a crazy stat, only to Fernando Tatis. So it's crazy. Look at this stat here: at bat per home run. Max Muncy 13.8, Crawford 13.5 in fourth place. Third place Acuna 12.5, Schwarber 11, Tatis number 1 8.6, and the next one is 11. So Tatis is just on a completely. I mean, we could
Unreal.
Yeah, we could get into Tatis right now. Hit 3 home runs the other night in only 4 innings. We thought he would hit like 4 or 5. Won't participate in the home run derby because of a shoulder injury. And that's the incredible thing about all this. He's doing all of this with like a hurt shoulder.
Yeah.
It's
No, listen, my
unbelievable.
biggest knock against Tatis has always been his health. And if he can stay healthy, when he's healthy, he's the best player in baseball. And the fact that we're only kind of seeing him scratch the surface right now with a hurt shoulder, I mean, he's just scary, man. He is one of those guys where, like, not the biggest dude on the field, but when he steps in the box, like, there is a presence there. And it's felt all around the stadium. And there's just players who are electric like this. And it's what makes baseball great. And Tatis is part of why baseball is kind of on an uptick right now. I mean, he shows emotion, he plays hard, and he has fun. And people want to see that.
Just the image of him, just like the hair, the beard, the flair, the shades. I mean, just everything about him makes him so appealing to like not just us here in the States, but he's got the bilingual, thing going for him. He's got a Hispanic background, so he's an international star. And
Absolutely.
Shohei Ohtani, same thing for him. So perfect ambassador for the sport, really. Um, it's crazy how he's doing it with the one shoulder. I keep going back
Yeah.
to that. That's amazing. Has anybody
Well,
else
he kind of
who's
has to
played
hit
hurt
for
like this before? Like I can't even think of anybody.
Kirk Gibson.
I guess that's true.
That was for one at bat. I don't know. I mean, what Otani was hurt all last year, his arm wise, like, and he
Yeah, and
still
still
able to
hit. That's a good
smash the
point.
ball.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And Otani said he's taking part in the home run derby. We mentioned that last show.
it's gonna be incredible, man. I mean, I would not be surprised if we see a ball leave Coors Field.
Oh no. Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, and he's gonna use all parts of the field like he usually does.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking ball down and away, drives it out to left field, fastball up, left center, right center, could pull the hands in. He could do anything, and I can't wait to watch him. Another guy who just put his hat in the ring for the home run derby, the regaining champion since there was no home run derby or all-star game in 2020, Pete Alonso, the polar bear, taking part, trying to keep the belt. What do you think? He's throwing his hat in the ring again.
I mean, he'll probably win the home run derby, but what does it matter? The Mets can't hit, so great. So, like, if I'm a Mets fan, I hear this news, and it's like, great. We already struggled to hit, and now Pete Alonso is going to mess up his swing as we try and make a second half push to win this insane NL East division. So, I mean, it'll make for a fun day, but in the
Mhm.
big grand scheme of things, I think it might be a mistake for Pete, especially because he, like, 10 home runs. I mean, what happened? This is a guy who hit
Yeah.
50 his rookie year. I don't know. Maybe it's a little COVID rust, but if the home run derby certainly help Pete Alonso kind of get the monkey off his back and start hitting like the polar bear we know he is.
Yeah, he was hurt a little bit, and um, more and more guys each and every year are dropping out of this thing. I mean, it's really interesting. They're finally figuring out that maybe the second half slump because of it. I mean, I think David Wright or no Prince Fielder, one of them had a really bad second half slump and blamed it on the Derby. Maybe it was Todd Frazier.
Probably. Well, I mean, hey, Todd Frazier, if he wants to at this point, can blame the entire second half of his career on that home run derby.
Ruthless, ruthless.
We love
But
you,
yeah,
Todd. Please come on the show.
please come on the show, Todd. We got to get him. USA baseball. He'll be in the Olympics. He'll be in.
Oh, yeah.
I believe they're going to China. I think. Yeah, I think they're going to China for the Olympics. Tokyo,
Olympics are
Japan.
in Tokyo. Yeah, I was going
Tokyo.
to say, Steve, what's going on here, buddy?
I'm in the wrong country. I knew it was in Asia, but I was in the wrong country. Tokyo, Japan. That's where the Olympics
And this
are.
is the first year we get a Olympics in baseball together, huh?
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I can't wait. And there's a few former big leaguers taking part in that. Homer Bailey's on that team. Todd Frazier's on that team. Matt Kemp. I mean, just some blast of the past.
Well, these are all just guys who got minor league deals and were like, oh, might as well go pitch for Team USA.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I feel like that should be on everybody's bucket list to represent their country. That's why the WBC is so cool to me. Is that
yeah, I mean, that's also the only time we ever get to see a full USA roster because I mean, MLB players aren't going to take a break from their season where they're competing for the. Don't get me wrong, who doesn't want a U.S. medal, but a World Series trophy is a little more illustrious, I think, to the baseball player in America.
Yeah, no, I'd feel so left out if I left my team. Like if you're on the Dodgers and they go on a big hot streak, like
I don't know, right now might be a good little time for the Dodgers players to take a little vacation to Tokyo, get their heads clear if they want to.
Yeah, exactly. Sacrifice Clayton Kershaw to pitch against like what's a team that Team USA would be facing? Team Canada or whatever. I don't know who qualifies.
Team Japan. Let's just stick with the hometown.
Yeah, Team Japan. Who, I mean, we see baseball talent coming out of Japan. Like,
yeah, they might like. I honestly think Team USA might get smacked around a bit in this.
WBC, they got smacked around. Japan, I think, has a few WBC titles. Of course, USA won the last one. Yeah, so we'll definitely have more coverage of that. I got to research more about that because I know nothing about it.
So I didn't even know where the Olympics were, man.
No, I didn't. I almost said Hong Kong. God, my geography is just through the roof bad. Speaking of the All-Star game, and we mentioned the Home Run Derby, the jerseys were revealed for the All-Star game, and we looked at it before we came on air. Jasper, was that the first time you saw it before you?
It was the first time I'd taken a good look at them. I think they're horrible, like to say the least. I mean, I'm trying to find a way to say something nice. The hats aren't horrible. I kind of like the hats.
Yeah.
Especially the Yankees one they sampled. That one was pretty cool. But I'm never a fan of when the MLB switches to like the 2-button. Like they look like a college. They look like a horrible 4th of July tournament jersey for a travel ball team. Like I really don't know what we're doing here with these things, man. How about you, Steve?
No, somebody pointed them out and said that they still have like Atlanta ties to them. They didn't even change it from when they moved the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And somebody like people are now making jerseys and they're like tagging MLB, like, look at the jersey that I created. This is better. And they are better. Like I could draw a stick figure right now. And like, okay, here's the thing. The jerseys are fine for batting practice.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about what they look like during batting practice. Nobody's watching batting practice. But the tradition has always been to wear your team uniforms during the All-Star game with just the All-Star game patch. Why? And what, like, why? Why is that being broken? And I feel like this just goes back to Major League Baseball's unawareness of anything. They don't know how to read the room on anything, whether that be rules committee, marketing. Read the room. Nobody wants to wear other jerseys in the All-Star game. Fans want to turn on the TV and see their jerseys represented. That's the point of it. Teams getting represented, players getting rewarded for good years on their team. Yep. And we're changing that for like some, literally it looks like they picked up like white polo shirts from Walmart and like got their friend to like put a design on it that has a shirt machine at home. That's what it looks like. It's horrible.
Man, I'll tell you, the only thing those jerseys are missing is just mesh. Like, I feel like if they really want to just go all in on the ugly jersey, they just need to make a mesh and like really throw it back to like the 1990s, 80s. I don't know. At this point, like they should just make a joke out of the jerseys. I really don't know what you do with them. No one's gonna buy these things. I mean, the ugly COL. I'm a Colorado guy, and I hate them. Like, of course, the Colorado Rockies get the worst jerseys possible. The one time we get The one time we actually get coverage, if we're being completely honest here, I mean, I think the last time I saw the Rockies talked about on MLB Network was, I guess we could say the Arenado trade. But before that, it was like when we signed Michael Kadire back in 2016.
Yeah, no, and Colorado is just I understand it was a last minute move, but I mean still those are horrible. I mean, they look like jerseys from like the 1918 World Series. You turn on the I mean, you look at highlights of that if there were highlights or, old still weird photographs. That's probably what they were wearing is those jerseys. The hats, yeah, I could get behind them, but the jerseys are just completely awful. Rob Manfred is I don't think he's behind it, so I can't blame him.
Yeah.
But whoever is the design team at MLB needs to fix this badly.
Yeah.
Because they're
Badly.
horrible. I mean, just look up right now if you're listening or watching. Look up 2021 MLB All-Star Game jerseys and tell me those don't look stupid.
Well, my whole thing with them is I think what they were trying to go for was kind of a modern yet vintage approach. And it just looks horrible. Like, they were like, oh, man, what if we did some vintage jerseys for Colorado? And then they were like, oh, but what if we did some modern jerseys? This is the first year we're actually doing jerseys. And they were like, oh, what if we combine that? And then it just came out horrible. And they were like, yo, these are tight. And everyone just clowned them on Twitter. It was incredible.
Okay, I have an idea. The next All-Star Game at like one of those vintage parks, Wrigley, or I think Wrigley is the next one up before Fenway, because Fenway just had one like 20 years ago. But if it's at Wrigley, every team's throwback uniform, that would be cool.
Would be incredible.
That would be incredible. I mean, just the throwback uniforms for the All-Star Game. Yeah. And I mean, Coors Field is like, what part of Coors Field and what part of Colorado signifies like new school baseball? Like, I mean,
yeah.
No offense to anybody in Colorado or you who's a Rockies fan, but I mean, is there a ballpark right now that signifies like the next generation of baseball? Like, I mean,
I think if anything, it would be Atlanta, right?
Yeah, it's a new ballpark.
It's a new ballpark. They have like one of the younger teams in baseball, and they blew it. So there you go.
Yeah, that definitely an interesting situation there. And one of the guys that is probably going to be in the All-Star game or be there, maybe not starting because of a guy named Fernando Tatis Jr. Is Brandon Crawford, who is in his walk year with the San Francisco Giants and is still playing shortstop like he's played it ever since he came up at an elite level, looking like the leader so far in Gold Glove, in the Gold Glove conversation. But Crawford hitting 255, which is kind of where he's been throughout his career. But peep the 141 OPS plus in the 875 OPS, which is, I mean, a career high by far. He's been an elite hitter, 16 home runs, which his career high is 21, which seems like he's going to break like at the end of July, probably. I mean, he's got to be there. He's got to be at the All-Star game. Last I checked, he was behind Corey Seager in the voting, who's hurt. Makes zero sense. So now what do you think about Crawford's hot start? Do you buy it? Is it fantasy? Is it reality? What's up with Crawford?
I buy it because it's a contract year. I think my only fear is that the Giants are going to throw out another loyalty contract and they're going to get screwed over. But I mean, I never thought there'd be a day where I admitted that Brandon Crawford is a better shortstop than Trevor Story. But I mean, here we are. Brandon Crawford is going to sneakily hit 30 home runs and get paid more than what he's worth. I don't think it's necessarily a fluke. I think this is just the best season he's ever had. And if you're a fan of Brandon Crawford, hey, enjoy it. Because, I mean, watching this guy play baseball has always been awesome in the field. But at the plate now, you get to see him kind of just let it fly, I mean, Brandon's just being Brandon. I think he's the biggest thing for me with Brandon Crawford, he just looks so loose at the plate. I mean, he just looks like he's focused, locked in. He's hunting. He's just playing good baseball, man. It's nice to see.
And he's always been a guy who you could trust in the big moment. He's experienced those big moments before. He's always been cool, calm, collective. And outside of the pennant race going down right now with the Giants, I mean, the big storyline aside from that is the three guys that are going to walk possibly at the end of the year: Crawford, Posey, and Belt. Belt, who knows, may have surgery on his knee now. So we might have seen the last of Brandon Belt in San Francisco. Posey has a team option, which is for a little north of $20 million. And Brandon Crawford is, raising his asking price by the minute. He won't get paid more than Story or, Seager or Correa or any of those guys. But
He's an $100 million player right now. If we're
ooh,
being
is
honest,
he? It,
I'd say. I mean, what? Okay, so think Trevor Story's worth like what, 250, 300 range?
yeah, maybe less.
I don't.
Um,
Okay, well, that's a conversation for another time. But
yeah,
I mean,
probably.
what? He's worth as much, if not a little less, than Lindor.
Okay, I could buy that. I could buy
Yeah,
that at the
right. So that's
highest.
like the 300, 250 mil range. Brandon
I'd say
Crawford.
I'd say a little over 200, maybe high 100s at the least. But he's also
I
28
mean,
years old.
yeah, that's true. I mean, what, 7 year? I can see him signing a 7 year, $250 million contract
Yeah,
for
his
sure.
asking price is going to be pretty big.
I mean,
But
Trevor Story's a guy where if he gets on the right team, this guy could be an MVP candidate. I mean, he's a 30-30 guy on the base paths and at the plate.
yeah, no, I agree. He's been underrated, especially when Arenado was there for a long time. The eyeballs were all on him and not Trevor Story. So there's a sense of him being underrated. But Crawford's 34 years old, and I would be hesitant to pay him quite a bit
Yeah.
because of the lack of consistency at the plate. And I know he's made adjustments with the hitting coaches, and his stance is noticeably different. But I mean, there is still a fear with the age,
Yeah.
B, health, which he's been very durable throughout his career, pretty much. Um, and C, the lack of consistency with the bat. And I know you could pay, you could find glove guys anywhere. And I know that's not fun to say about Brandon Crawford. No knock on his defense. It's elite.
Yeah.
But, let's be honest here. Major league teams pay for bats. That's always going to be the case. Nothing will ever change.
Yeah.
Like, if that's the case, and Jose Iglesias is a $200 million player.
Yeah.
So, but
I
it
mean, they
won't.
just,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, my bad. They don't look at saved runs. They look at produced runs at the end of the day. That's all I
No,
want to
no,
add.
100%. Yeah, I agree. And Crawford got the 6 year, $75 million extension that he got in 2016, took him through, or is going to take him through 21. My theory about this whole thing is that, like, Marco Luciano's coming. He's
Yep.
going to be the top prospect, maybe top 5 in all of baseball. He's in San Jose right now, so he's in low A. If they think Luciano is the shortstop of the future, they won't go and sign a Trevor Story or a Seager or a Correa. So that means Crawford would be the perfect stopgap for like a 2 year deal. But if they think Luciano is like a third baseman or something and they want to start playing him at third base at the higher levels of the minor leagues, I think they go for one of the big shortstops and let Crawford walk. What about
Yeah.
Crawford in Colorado?
That's a Colorado Rocky ass signing. I'll tell you that much. We'll probably give him what, 3 years, 70 mil. It's kind of like Gerardo Parra money, Ian Desmond money. I don't know. I don't know what the Rockies are going to do. We're an I think the plan is to move Brendan Rodgers to short, though. I think he was always a shortstop, and he's actually playing really well for us right now. One of the few bright spots that hopefully won't get traded. I don't think he will, but I'm a little excited. I mean, hey, Ryan McMahon and Brendan Rodgers have me excited right now. I think if anything, we go after a second base chip.
Yeah.
That's where we seem to be struggling the most. CJ Cron's been a pleasant surprise, but it all depends on if we can actually get some value for Trevor Story. We have an intern GM. I really don't like the fact that we're trading one of our top players and one of the few players I think we could actually get some really good value for with an interim GM. So that kind of scares me. But I think Crawford would be a great fit in Coors. He's always, from every game I've watched the Giants and Rockies play at Coors Field, he's always been the guy who will hit that grand slam. I mean, Crawford's always been a clutch hitter, but now he's getting consistent. So, hey, maybe if he can keep this up, by all means, give me Brandon Crawford in Coors Field.
Yeah. And his career numbers at Coors Field, if anybody was wondering, I'm pulling them up. Well, let's see, career numbers at Coors Field. Crawford is a 260 hitter with 11 homers, 60 RBIs, and 304 at bats. And he has a 742 OPS. So he
That
did pretty
doesn't
well
sound too
there.
shabby to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So Crawford, definitely an option for the Rockies moving forward for sure. Um, let's stay in the National League West because this continues to be a really intriguing division. And we might see 3 playoff teams coming out of it. Right now, the Giants have the best record in baseball, which nobody saw coming. They lead the Dodgers by 4.5 games and the Padres by 4.5 games. I mean, this is such a surprise, and I know we've talked about that, but this division is just really, really good. But they also have a few bad teams. We'll get to the Diamondbacks in just a sec. But I mean, this is a good division.
Yeah. And you know which division this hurts the most? The NL East. The fact that you can get 3 playoff teams out of this division is going to hurt those NL East teams who are good enough to play in the playoffs, but just they beat up on each other and their records aren't there. So, I mean, like the Atlanta Braves could get second place and miss the playoffs. Isn't that crazy to think about?
That
I
is.
mean, the NL East, it is going to be a fight till the end. It's going to be August is going to really, the dog days of August are going to be the true test for the NL East. But getting back to the NL West, it's awesome. I love this for the game. The fact that the Dodgers are a game away from being in third place, you love to see it. I mean, they got no hit this week by the combined no hitter, but yeah, I mean, the Padres, they have the pitching depth to just absolutely turn it on in the playoffs. And I think for all the bats and everything LA has signed, I don't see a whole lot of team chemistry on the field. There's points where the Dodgers look a little disconnected. So I mean, I don't know. What's your take on the NL West, Steve?
Well, I think it's like a movie. I really do.
Yeah.
I think you have the Dodgers who are like the big bad, the big bad.
The
It's the
villain.
batting. Yeah, it's the villain. It's the antagonist of the movie. Then you have the Padres who, did a lot to improve during the offseason and they're trying to make a run. And this is the year where
Won
they
8 in a
have,
row, by the way, the Padres.
yes, they're on a roll right now. And swept the Dodgers in San Diego in front of a packed crowd. Just every single game between those two has been good.
It's been watch baseball.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's not a rivalry as much as Padres fans want to think it is. There's no historical element, but these matchups are some of the best baseball we've seen in 2021 for sure. And San Francisco is kind of like the under the radar team that nobody saw coming and is the surprise. So there's like one of each here in this story. Then you have the Rockies who are kind of irrelevant, but the
Yeah.
Rockies, when they're irrelevant, they're still dangerous because of their home park.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You know?
hey, and the Rockies, they may play the upset game come September when every team's kind of rounding out their divisional schedule. And they have the Giants, say, late September. They have the Dodgers mid-September.
And just
Padres.
out hit all of them.
Yeah, well, you're going to see games where the score is going to be like 19-15, and you're going to be like, well, this is a game we should have taken, and this game hurts because, I mean, the Coors Field effect, it'll just fuck you sometimes. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and the worst team. And real quick before we go on to what's going on in the desert, the National League East, like you mentioned, I ruled out the Nationals a few days ago, but you can't rule anybody out probably except the Marlins. But I mean, yeah, all these teams are just beating up on each other. The Mets somehow haven't gotten the brunt of it, which is
Listen, the Mets confuse the hell out of me because just watching them play baseball, it looks so disorganized, so bad. Francisco Lindor is just what, huh?
they're always hurt.
They're always hurt. Their pitchers are phenomenal, but still have losing records. I mean, is DeGrom might be 4-2 now, but or maybe it's reversed, but just like seeing DeGrom have a 0.50 ERA and then be losing games, it's unreal. He allows 0 runs and you can't get him a win.
Mm-hmm. No, it's pathetic.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, he's on pace right now for one of the best seasons ever in the modern history of the game.
Not to mention you can't get Syndergaard on the field.
I know, that's too bad. He's one of those great personalities that you root for. Great social media game, by the way, too. Noah Syndergaard. But no, the Nationals and some of these teams also have to consider their future. Like the Nationals, especially. I mean, they have some pieces. Max Scherzer is at the top of trade talks around baseball. But if he's needed to start a wild card game or to start a game one series, you can't trade him
Yeah.
because you don't know what you got with Steven Strasburg. Patrick Corbin had a horrible start to the year. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how that division takes place.
Yeah.
Back to the West, and I hate
Wait. I just need to get one. Like, how bad does that bidding war they went on in Chicago, the White Sox, with look now in retrospect? Like, paying Strasburg $275 million at his age, that's kind of a tough look for them.
Yeah, I mean, they did. It was right after. I think the story behind that was they were
World
right
Series
after.
goggles.
Yes, right after the World Series win, riding the high, free agent. This guy just what was he? He was the MVP of something. Was it World Series or NLCS MVP?
I think it was World Series because remember he had those 3 tremendous games against Houston.
Yeah, World Series MVP, and it was just not a situation where you could let him walk. So they had to kind of meet his asking price, and like 245 is way too much for Steven Strasburg.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me right now? Way too much for a guy who has never been healthy consistently,
Yeah.
ever, and has pitched 200 innings twice. So I mean, and when he's on the field, he's great. I understand that,
Yep.
but just he's been on the DL a handful of times, and that was just way too much money. But that is definitely a good point there.
Yeah.
The D-backs have lost 24 road games, and they've lost like what 47 of like 50 or something like that. I probably
Something
have that
crazy
number.
like that. It's something. They're 29 games back. They're the worst team in baseball. I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say.
How is this happening? They have good players. I mean, they have Nick Ahmed, a Gold Glover at short. David.
Wait. Are we really going to start our diagnosis of the Diamondbacks off with Nick Ahmed?
He's the first name I saw.
The face of the Diamondbacks, Nick Ahmed. Everyone.
No, I'm just saying that Carson Kelly's been good, but he's been
Carson
hurt.
Kelly.
I mean, Ketel Marte is going to be a big piece at the deadline, I think.
That's what perplexes me about the Diamondbacks, though, right? Weren't they an up and coming young team?
Mm-hmm.
Like what Zach Gallen was supposed to be the future. We still haven't seen what's his name. I'm completely blanking right now. Oh, Corbin Martin. We still haven't really seen Corbin Martin. Luke Weaver has not pitched to what they expected him to, and
Bumgarner's on and off the DL.
Bumgarner.
I mean, it's really. I mean, this is not a good team
tough.
at all.
It's tough.
And did you see that play where Vogelbach was like pulled his hamstring or something? It was limping home. He was like a third of the way. No, he was like a quarter. He was close to home. He was about 20 feet from the plate, limping, almost walking to the plate. And the Diamondbacks, like shortstop, had the ball, and the catcher sitting there like, "Come on, 4-4-4." He wasn't even at the plate yet. It was just a mess, and he scored.
So I mean, I guess that didn't make sense because he did win a national or a World Series of the Nationals. But anytime I see Asdrubal Cabrera on a roster, your team needs to answer some questions.
Ouch. Yeah, Asdrubal Cabrera, long-time infielder. Yeah, but 24 road. I mean, this has to be talked about more, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
24th. The last time they won a road game, Jasper, was when Madison Bumgarner threw the controversy 7-inning no-hitter. That was the last time. That felt like months ago. It was like late April. April.
We were still in school when that was.
Late April. I know. Yeah, we did talk about that on the other podcast that we do, TSV Sports Show.
Insane.
That's insane. Arizona Diamondbacks way north of 100 losses. I mean, is that like a lock at this point?
I'd say so. I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to turn this thing around. Like they don't have any. They have prospects, but they're nowhere near ready for the MLB level. But I mean, I want to get your takes on what the best trade pieces on this roster are. Because I mean, I look at names like Eduardo Escobar and Ketel Marte, especially. Ketel Marte is just in these past 3 seasons, he has just been a monster. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm curious to think like which of these pieces do you kind of keep? I mean, David Peralta is a guy who I think has to go. Eduardo Escobar, but like, do you try your best to keep Ketel, or is his trade value just too much of a temptation to pass on?
Well, Arizona's always been such a weird, they have a weird history of doing some weird stuff. So, for example, 2010, 97 losses.
Yep.
2011, they turned it around and won 94 games.
Yeah.
2012, they finished 500. 2013, they finished 500. 2014, they took a step back and lost 98 games. 15, they got a little bit better, lost 83. 16, they got worse, lost 93. 2017, they switched that and won 93, and that was the whole.
That was the JD Martinez year, right?
Yes, that was the JD Martinez year where Archie Bradley hit the triple in the wild card game against the Rockies, and they ended up losing the division series against the Dodgers. 18, they got a little bit worse, finished 2 games above 500. 19, finished 4 games above 500. So they were kind of in that weird in between, where teams
are we contenders?
Yeah. 2020, they lost 35 games, which they were 25-35. And then this year, of course, they're 21-56. They've been trendy, but I think at this point, you got to build for something. You cannot be trendy in a division like this, where you have 3 teams that are getting better every single day and every single year.
Yeah.
Giants are only going to get better with the players they have coming up. The Dodgers spit out talent. They're only going to get better. They're perennial. They've been perennial. They will continue to be perennial.
At least until Magic Johnson dies, but
yeah, and stops funding their payroll.
Yeah.
And the Padres are young. They're here to stay. They're a good team.
Yep.
So in this division, you can't suck, because if you suck in this division, you are going to really, really suck. And the Diamondbacks are really, really sucking, and they got to tear it down. So you asked me who should go. Everybody that's making some sort of money. I mean, Ahmed, buy. Escobar, buy. Peralta, buy. Marte, buy. Asdrubal, buy. I mean, these guys could help some guys. You can't. Drupal Cabrera could be a great bench bat somewhere. Starting pitching, Zach Gallen. Maybe
you
stick
gotta
around.
Keep Gallen.
Maybe
keep Gallen.
Maybe stick around for a little bit. But
Caleb Smith is a guy you can move, I think. Bumgarner's contract is a little tough to move, I think.
You probably have to eat some of it.
Well, not only that, but you're not really. I don't think you're going to get the value you're looking for him, right?
Yeah,
I mean, think about it. Like this is a guy who. So okay, now we'll put yourself in the team that's going to trade the shoes of the team that's going to trade for Madison Bumgarner. Do you really know what you're getting?
Well, I haven't seen enough of them.
Stellar, the Giants had a couple of tough-looking years with Arizona. Do you think a change of scenery? I mean, I would love to see Madison Bumgarner be a Yankee, personally. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I could see it. I think he could pitch well in that ballpark. But I mean, we saw 9 starts of just horrible baseball from him last year.
Yep.
We've seen a few good starts, but not enough to, settle down the bad starts. That's why his ERA is in the high 5s. Stuff, I think, is still there. But I think the long balls really hurt him at this point in his career. Oh gosh. I mean, yeah, I think if you're the Diamondbacks, you might have to eat some of the money. I mean, he's owed this season. Obviously, some of it's been paid already, but this season, 19 million, 2022, 23 million, 2023, 23 million. I know that doesn't make sense, but in 2024, I mean, you get a little bit of a break with 14, but I think Ketel Marte is the best asset they have.
Yeah. What kind of, I mean, just before we move on, Eduardo Escobar, he's another player who kind of emerged with them, but you're not really sure if he can kind of replicate that. I mean, he was great with the Twins, don't get me wrong, but he was never that kind of star player. But I think him and David Peralta are going to be the 2 guys where we have to figure out what kind of value you can get for him.
Yeah. Yeah, he could. I'd be interested to see where he fits. He's also had a very trendy career. I mean, 0 homer. Like I'm looking at it right now. 2012, 0 homers.
Yeah.
13, 3, 14, 6, 2015, 12, 2016, 6, 2017. Where did 21 come from?
Yeah, exactly.
2018, 23. Okay. Start of some consistency. And then
2019, he explodes. 35 home runs, 118 RBIs. So
So
He just
who
doesn't
is
strike
he?
me as a star, right? Yeah, it's a little Jekyll and Hyde here. I'm not really sure what you have in Eduardo, but
Again, maybe a bench bat, but I mean,
so I
he's
don't know.
only
I mean, he's playing too well to be a bench bat right now. He's batting 245, 16 home runs, 46 RBIs. I mean, if he hits 30 home runs and has 100 RBIs again, I mean,
yeah,
who knows?
we'll have a trade deadline show where we go through all the bad teams and try to put players on different teams. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And Escobar, maybe we'll find a fit.
Yeah. I think I'm done talking D-backs, though. I don't want to waste my time any longer with this kind of
No, it was fun
depressing
ripping. It was
franchise.
fun ripping them.
Always fun to rip the D-backs just because they won a world. They've won more World Series than most teams with the championship in 2001, but you
Yeah.
don't really know. They're one of those franchises you just don't really know what to do with because I wouldn't call them a small market, but like they're a medium-sized market team. They really like when you have that kind of, you're never going to really build consistency like the Dodgers have.
Yeah, which is why they have to tear it down. And a team that's really surprising is the team with the second most wins in baseball at the time of this recording. The Houston Astros are on a roll. I mean, we've seen a resurgent Jose Altuve with power leading
With
that team
power.
in home
Yeah.
run with power. I mean, going off in the long ball department. Correa's having a great year. Michael
Yeah.
Brantley coming off the DL strong.
Yeah.
Alvarez is a star, and Kyle Tucker could be an all-star. I mean, this is a good team.
We got to talk Yuli Gurriel as well.
Oh,
Right?
yes.
337. Who the hell saw that coming, man?
Mm-hmm.
The
Good.
RBIs are there. It's fun to watch.
I think they need an arm.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, though. Their pitching staff. Zach Greinke can't be your ace.
Yeah.
And you gave Lance McClure's all this money. He's pitching well, but he's not really staying healthy.
Yeah, no, I like the young arms they have. Garcia, Christian Javier, and Urquidy.
Yeah.
But Scherzer would fit well.
Yeah, yikes. What, you go from Verlander to Scherzer? That'd be insane. That'd be crazy.
Is Verlander slated to come back soon?
I have
Or is he out for
no clue.
Was he out?
He's got to be out for the year, right? I mean, the fact that no one's talking about him, no one's saying, "Oh, I can't wait for the Astros to get Verlander back." He must be out for the year.
Yeah. Maybe I'm forgetting when he underwent Tommy John.
Did it cut his 60-game season short?
I thought it did. We will find this out right here on the air because this is important information. Justin Verlander, 2020, he didn't pitch. Oh, he pitched in one game.
Right. Here, let's see.
So he should be nearing a return, but why isn't he? Oh, did he suffer a setback?
He must have. Let's see. February 27th, 2021, Houston Astros placed pitcher Justin Verlander on the 60-day disabled list.
So he underwent the procedure September. So yeah, he's knocked out for the year.
That's tough. They activated him in 2020 in October, apparently. But
yeah, because at some point you have to get all the 60-day DL guys off.
Do you think we've little question right here? Do you think we've seen Justin Verlander pitch his last Major League Baseball game?
No. He'll be back. He's going to pitch.
40-year-old Justin?
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
He's still going to come back and pitch well.
Yeah. Oh, man. Imagine if he's just the Tom Brady of baseball. That would be so annoying.
Justin Verlander is very possibly a Hall of Famer.
I think it's safe to just give it to him at this point. I mean, what? As a 37-year-old, he went 21-6. Come on. That's crazy.
Oh, look at Jaws, starting pitcher, 33rd ranked in the history of baseball.
Jeez.
Among active players, he is Zach Greinke a Hall of Famer?
I don't think so. I don't know. Is he?
I mean, he's got a Cy Young. He's
got a Cy Young.
73.5 WAR. Although pitching WAR is a little lower at 68.4.
Yeah, but I mean, what? The old school baseball guys aren't going to pay attention to WAR.
And then he's ranked 34th. among all-time pitchers, which is interesting. But I think the big three right now, I think there's four guys right now that are knocking on the door, and that's Scherzer, Kershaw, Greinke, Verlander. Kershaw's already in. Scherzer's close. Then I go Verlander, Greinke.
Yep.
But it's close.
Yep. But just getting back to the Astros, I mean, it's been incredible. They've overtaken the A's. And I don't blame them. I mean, they're kind of like, I'm waiting for the Dodgers to have this kind of run, It's like where there's a team that we know they're talented. We know they're not playing up to their standards. And then they finally get it together and just go on a run.
Oh, LA has 19 of 22 in them. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
They haven't even hit that yet. I mean, they do it every year seemingly. But yeah, just
August, I'm telling you, man, August. Once we get to August, it is going to get intense. The burners are going to turn on, and we're going to see who has what it takes, who has the grit to get to the postseason.
And all the credit in the world to Dusty Baker.
Yeah.
Who just took a really horrible situation, the perfect guy for the job,
man,
and has led this team to a very, very good year. So shout out to Dusty.
It sucks because I love Dusty, but I hate the Astros, and I hate that he defends them.
And do it for him. He's never won a big game in his life. Do it for Dusty.
I mean, you gotta love the toothpick and the wristbands, and yeah, man, Dusty's an all-timer.
I mean, he's got to be one of the few guys who's managed that long and has that many wins, but has never won a championship.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, he came close with the Giants, but I don't know who that ended.
Yeah. I mean, went a few times in his playing career, I'm reading here. Went with the Giants. Other than that, never been to a championship or never won.
Dusty's a choker?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's basically he is. I mean, that's no knock on him. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
But he's, again,
I mean, you think back to that Reds team that had the Giants on the ropes and couldn't get it done back.
Yeah. And I'm reading his Wikipedia entry. Baker has been criticized as a poor postseason manager. Giants finished the season tied for wild card. 2002 postseason was the only time in his career that he won a postseason series. So never really advanced to the next round quite a bit in his see, here it is. Dusty Baker has presided over some of the biggest collapse in baseball history. 1993, the Giants led the National League West by 9.5 games on August 7th, blew it. 2002, blew it. 2003, his Cubs in the NLCS against the Marlins, blew it. That was the Bartman game, of course.
Oh, yeah.
2012, Baker's Reds against the Giants, blew it. There's got to be more here. 2013, 6-game losing streak to end the season. Blew it. Lost the wild card game that year. Blew it. So, I mean, yeah, choker. But great guy.
Man, I would love to see an all-time collapse by the Astros.
And his real name's Johnny.
Johnny Baker, Dusty.
Johnny B. Baker.
Great baseball name if we're talking baseball names.
Dusty Baker is a great baseball name. All right. Well, what do you think about combined no-hitters? Because, I mean, we saw one with the Cubs combining like with four guys to no-hit the Dodgers. Zach Davies pitched the majority of that one. Then the bullpen for the Cubs, which has been so good all year long, came in and shut the door. It's not the same. What do you think? It's not the same for me, at least, as one guy doing it.
I mean, it's clearly not the same. I was just telling you before this, Craig Kimbrell didn't even realize they had a no-hitter,
Mm-hmm.
Like you saw his reaction after he got the win, just gave a little fist pump. Wasn't really too hyped. But my hot take here is I think Bumgarner's no-hitter should count as a combined no-hitter because it doesn't have what's the word I'm looking for? The weight of a single pitcher throwing a no-hitter. But the combined no-hitter, it's still impressive. Maybe give Bumgarner a little boost for that one. I don't know. But it's the game has come down to relief pitching, right? If you can have good relief pitching. And I think we're seeing more combined no-hitters because you got amazing pitchers coming out of the bullpen, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not afraid to pull the guy who's been killing it for 7 innings anymore.
Yeah, I feel like with these no-hitters, pitch count has been kind of forgotten about. And for the most part, managers have – this is why the first combined no hitter this season is the 7th one. So the other 6 has been one person. So that means that managers have kind of had the longer leash here, which is good. But for Bumgarner, I would say no, and it's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. But the only reason why I would say no is in terms of counting is because he didn't go the extra 2 innings.
Yep.
I mean, in those extra 2 innings, I mean, I go live on RizzoCast, the Instagram page. I don't know how many, maybe like 2 or 3 times I've gone live in the 8th inning, and it's been broken up in the 8th inning. So who knows what would have happened if he would have pitched and it's not his fault. You can't blame him. You can't blame him. And I think the players like the 7-inning doubleheaders, and might actually fight to keep it in the next CBA. Yeah. So who knows? But I can't blame Bumgarner. I just don't think it's authentic.
Well, so is the combined no hitter inauthentic to you as well, or what's your take on it?
Well, it's 9 innings, and a team didn't get a hit in 9 innings. I feel like that's more authentic than a team not getting hit in 7 innings.
Yeah.
So I just think combined no hitters don't get any love because there's not one person you could point to as having the success.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I think the consensus was Zach Davies gave his all, and he just had nothing left in the tank.
He probably got the toast. He probably got the toast post game.
Yeah.
Shout out to Zach, game ball or whatever they do.
Yeah. You know what I'd love to see though is I'm blanking on the term for it, but when they start a reliever, I would love to see just like a 9-guy combined no hitter. Oh yeah, the opener. I would love to see an opener go 1 inning and then just have them keep going through there. I'd also love to see, like, I think since it is the age of pitching, I'd love to see someone lose a no hitter.
Yeah, like in the 9th inning with 2 outs.
Yeah. Or not even that, but just like have someone have just an atrocious game, but I guess no one really got a hit. I feel like the Pirates could do it. If anyone could do it, it'd be the Pirates.
Yeah. Or like a walk-off no hitter. Remember that was done? Somebody did that. I'm blanking.
It was
Marlins. Who was he? I pictured
it was Hernandez. What was his
Henderson Alvarez?
Henderson Alvarez, not Hernandez. Damn.
Walk-off no hitter. He was on deck too, so that made it even better.
Yeah.
Wild pitch.
Incredible.
Love it. Also, before we head off here, NC State, our hearts go out to them because if you're keeping up with the College World Series, which I haven't really, a few guys for their team, a few unvaccinated players on their team got COVID or were exposed to COVID. And basically the NCAA shut them down and they give Vanderbilt the win, and Vanderbilt's going to move on, and NC State baseball is eliminated. So really tough break for them.
You can't lie. I mean, I was watching the game yesterday, like even with half their roster on the sideline with COVID, like they were kind of handing it to Vanderbilt. They could have won that game. They could have easily won that game. But I think it sucks for the integrity of this College World Series as a whole. Now you don't have a team that could have easily dethroned Vanderbilt. I mean, Vandy was playing for their lives, and now they kind of just get a cakewalk to the College World Series. I mean, it all seems it kind of seems like a 7-inning no hitter, if we're being honest.
Oh, there you go. Nice. That was
a little inauthentic.
Yeah, a little not authentic. Yeah, and if Vanderbilt does end up winning, we could play the what if game.
Oh, the what if game.
The what if game.
Fun to play.
One of these days, we should just have a whole show, related to the what if game in the history of baseball. The what if. Yeah. There's so many of them.
So many.
So many what if games. But yeah, NC State, tough break for them. Trey Turner or Carlos Rodon tweeted something, who's an alumni. Trey Turner, I believe, also tweeted something. So
yeah,
hate to see it. So that's what we'll wrap up. Yeah, we got to a lot of stuff today. So good. It was a great show. We'll have guests coming up soon. More banter shows coming up soon as well. Thank you guys for listening. Follow us on Twitter at RizzoCast, and I will put that in the description below. on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, wherever you find your podcasts. Thanks for listening and have a great day.